that we here highly resolve that this nation shall, under God, have a new birth of freedom, and the government of the people, by the people, and for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Senate will come to order. Clerk will call the roll.
Well, we got a full house today, haven't we?
Yep. You always turn out for the execution.
Hi, Ralph.
Hi, Sweeney.
You're going to expel Senator Jack today, huh? Well, where are the drums, the guillotine? In fact, where's Senator Jack?
I guess he hasn't stopped running since he left that committee room.
Hey, Ralph, by the way, what are you saving the 2 seats for here?
I don't know. Gene asked me to hold.
Mr. Hiram? Here. Mr. Jack?
Here!
You know, that guy is either crazy or a glutton for punishment.
Maybe both.
Mr. Jethro?
What's Saunders doing here?
Saunders?
What's Saunders doing in town?
Saunders, where have you been?
Hi, guys.
Kramer?
Saunders, are you behind these shenanigans?
Lamb?
Me? What shenanigans?
Lubash? Mr. Zimmerman? Here. Quorum is present.
Quorum is present.
Mr. President.
Senator Burton?
Mr. President, on behalf of the Select Committee on Standards and Conduct, I sent to the desk a report of that committee on the investigation of Senator Billy Jack, as unanimously directed by the committee. I also report an original resolution for the senator's expulsion, which I ask to be read.
Without objection? So ordered.
Whereas it has been shown by the investigation of the Select Committee of Standards and Conduct that Senator Billy Jack, as a United States Senator, did engage in a course of unethical conduct calculated to benefit his own personal and financial worth, and whereas such conduct derogates from the public trust expected of a senator and brings the Senate into contumely, disrepute, and dishonor, resolved that it is the judgment of the Senate that Senator Billy Jack be, and hereby is, expelled from the United States Senate.
Mr. President, I move the immediate adoption of the resolution and ask all the yeas and nays.
Mr. President, I address the chair
I have the floor and about to ask for a roll call on the passing of this resolution without any further delay.
Mr. President, I believe I addressed the chair first, sir.
The senator can say nothing at this time that would not be in bad grace, sir.
Senator Jack is still a member of this body, and as such, has equal claim to the attention of this chair.
You were about to recognize me, sir.
That is merely your assumption, Senator.
Let him speak!
Before I proceed further, I would like to say to the visitors that they are here as our guests, and they should conduct themselves as such. And we might add that such crudely voiced sentiments will in no way affect the judgment of this chair. The chair recognizes Senator Jack.
Thank you, sir.
Hold on to your hat, Gene. Here we go.
Well, gentlemen, I guess you're in a pretty tall hurry to get me out of here. From the way that the evidence is piled up against me, I can't say that I blame you much. And I'm perfectly willing to go, Mr. President, as soon as this group has legally voted that way. But before I go, there are some things that I want to say to this body. Mr. President, will the senator yield? No, Senator, I will not yield. Now, I yielded once before, and if you'll recall, I ended up being splattered across the headline of every newspaper in this country and was practically never heard of again. And incidentally, gentlemen, we might as well all get together on this yielding business right now. You see, I had some pretty good coaching last night, and I found out that if I yield only for a personal privilege, a point of order, or a question, I can hold this floor until doomsday, or at least as long as I can stand on my own 2 feet. In other words, Mr. President, I have a piece to speak, and come hell or high water, I am going to stand on this floor and speak it.
Mr. President, will the senator yield? Will Senator Jack yield?
Yield how?
Will he yield for a question?
For a question, yes, for a question.
I wish to ask my junior colleague, this piece he intends to speak, does it concern Section 40 of the bill?
It does.
Every aspect of this matter was dealt with during the committee hearing.
Mr. President,
I wish to ask my distinguished colleague, has he one scrap of evidence to add now to the defense that he did not give and could not give during that same hearing?
there are no defenses against forged papers, and you know it, Senator
The
Payne.
committee ruled otherwise. The gentleman stands guilty as charged.
I stand guilty as framed.
I believe I speak for every member present when I say that no one cares to hear what a man of his condemned character has to say about any section of any legislation before this House.
Mr. President, I was guilty as framed. And I was framed because I was going to stand up here and tell that Section 40 is nothing but a nuclear ripoff. I was going to stand in this chamber and tell about a certain James Bailey back in my state who wanted to put that plant through for his own personal profit.
Mr. President, will the senator yield?
No, I will not yield. Now, this same James Bailey promised me a seat in this chair for the next 20 years if I went along and voted for something that he knew and I knew was a fraud on the American people. And he also told me that if I dared to stand up in this chamber and oppose that nuclear plant, he would break me in two. All right, Mr. President, I stood up the other day and I tried to address myself to Section 40. And the long arm of Mr. Bailey reached into this sacred chamber and he grabbed me by the back of the neck.
Mr. President, a point of order.
Mr. President, do I have the floor?
Senator Payne will state it.
It was I who rose in this chamber to accuse him. He is claiming that I was carrying out criminal orders and falsified evidence. He has imputed to me conduct unworthy of a senator, and I demand that he be made to yield the floor.
Mr. President, I did not say that Senator Payne was in that room.
But I was in that room.
Order.
I accuse this man, by his tone, by his careful denials, of deliberately trying to plant damaging impressions of my conduct. I'll tell you why. Because Mr. Bailey, a respected citizen of our state, had brought with him the evidence against this man. And we were urging Billy Jack to resign. Why? To avoid bringing disgrace upon a clean and honorable state and upon this body. But Senator Jack refused. He threatened to bring that very disgrace down upon the state and all of us present if we refused to let him go through with this contemptible scheme.
Mr. President, Mr. President, do I have the floor?
There was only one way to answer this man. The truth, which I rose and gave to this body. Mr. President, he is trying to blackmail the Senate, just as he tried to blackmail me. To prevent his expulsion, he would probably even try to hold up the deficiency bill, vital to the entire country, which must be passed immediately today.
Do I have...
Gentlemen, I have lost patience with this gentleman. I am sick and tired of this contemptible young man. I apologize to this body for his appointment. I regret I ever knew him. And I refuse to stay and listen to him any longer. And I hope every member of this chamber feels as I do.